Hello. According to the famous Pew Research Center for General Statistics, the number of internet users worldwide in 1995 was about 50 million users, most of whom were from institutions located in industrialized countries. But fast forward 20 years to 2015, and the number of internet users exceeded 3.5 billion, which is another 8 years. And in 2023, the number of users reached 5 billion and 300 million users. So, what would happen if the internet were to be cut off from the entire world? Welcome to Brain Buzz TV channel. But before we start, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Our videos will be delivered to you first. In principle, before we answer the question, we must first ask another question. Is it really possible for the internet to be cut off from the entire world one day? Is it possible for a major disaster to occur one day, whether it be a major earthquake or a nuclear war, causing the internet to be cut off from the entire world? The truth is that the answer to this question is as long as the planet Earth is intact, the internet will remain intact. First, the internet is not a trend, and it will come one day in the world. The internet has now run out, just like water and electricity. It has become vital in all aspects of modern life, and even if someone tried to stop the internet from the entire world through deliberate sabotage, it would not be lost if, God forbid, something catastrophic happened, like a giant earthquake, for example. Dinosaurs at that time wouldn't have made much of a difference to us if there was no internet, because we probably wouldn't exist anymore. But as we said, if any catastrophic event occurs, the Earth will continue and the internet will continue with it as usual. The reason for this is the structure of the internet itself, and the way internet cables are laid and servers distributed around the world. The idea of connecting the internet makes it not depend on one device, not even 10 or even 1,000. The internet is a network spread all over the Earth. It even exists in space through satellites. So, it is possible for a country to block some sites or some services, or even to stop the internet altogether within its borders. However, in the end, this is still a matter concerning its borders alone. And it is also possible that major outages will occur, cutting off the internet in a number of countries, not just one country. This has already happened more than once. Perhaps the most famous of these was the 2008 incident when a major undersea cable was cut and internet service was cut off in a number of countries in the near future, the Indian subcontinent. But in the end, all these conversations make us realize that our question is just a hypothetical and purely imaginary question, so that no one worries. The internet is complete and random places are complete, God willing, and midnight is complete. So let's assume that there is a button that if we press it, will be cut off. According to researchers, if the internet were to be cut off from the entire world for a week, some minor economic disasters would occur, and they would pass. This means that some institutions and companies may lose billions of dollars, especially if these companies are completely reliant on the internet, such as Meta or Google or Amazon and others. But also all institutions, regardless of their activity, whether in the economy, commerce, or even work in the field of security, all will suffer some losses, but in the end, everyone will be able to recover and continue, and the world will recover. It does not end and is destroyed if they live without the internet for a week. The problem is if it continues for a longer period than that, the most important part, and it will be affected by something like this, and that is internet addicts. This segment has become connected to the internet, a connection that we can say has reached a pathological state. The absence of the internet will have a very big impact on this segment, as it will lose the means of communication it's accustomed to, whether by keeping it off social media sites or stopping online games. Yes, indeed, the thing that needs the internet to cause moral harm will be great, and researchers say that there will be reports that there are people who want to kill themselves. For some people, the internet is literally their entire life, and its absence means a huge void. Many people will not be able to bear it if we speak seriously and talk about the impact of the absence of the internet on service sectors in general. Here, it turns out that the transportation and communications sector, for example, will become more disrupted, And remember that this transport sector alone could cause a complete paralysis in the world as a whole. Transport is what puts people to work and makes them see their interests. Since the internet has now become a major factor in the transportation and communications sector, it remains the first thing at all. Self-driving cars and electric cars will malfunction. Some researchers even say that any type of vehicle will tire. The story is simple, because all traffic, navigation, and fuel systems currently rely on the digital system and the internet. This means, for example, that electronic gates exist in cities. They will not open without the internet. The faces of cities are that the vast majority of traffic lights will not work. And of course, this will lead to accidents and traffic jams everywhere, which will in turn affect the whole world. We come to another type of transportation, which is airplanes. Aircraft now rely almost entirely on internet-connected navigation systems. So if the internet is completely cut off, it is unlikely that airplanes will leave the airport, especially since one of the most important stages of flights is logistics preparations, which rely on the mechanisms that use the internet to connect their devices to each other. If the internet network is disrupted, this ability will be paralyzed. In short, without the internet, there will be no equipment. All airports will be destroyed, and not only are these things approved at airports online. For example, you have the issue of reservations, weather information, landing and takeoff information, and luggage weight. Everything is discussed first and followed by transportation companies, tourism companies, and international airlines. They are all connected to each other via the internet and in a constant state of data exchange, so it would not be useful to suddenly return to the era of faxes, regular phones, and regular messages in order to coordinate something like the airport. Besides, the old structure is no longer there at all. The requirements of the current era, the increase in population, the increase in flights, the number of aircraft, and all this talk is missing. The old speeds are no longer useful. So if you choose something related to aviation and air travel and company profits and hotels and all this, they will return to the 80s, and we have ended the curse of the 80s for half a century. E-commerce is clear in itself to anyone. Relying on the internet in trade and work will completely disappear from the financial market and the global economy, from the first people who work on YouTube, like our case, to the largest companies like Meta and Amazon. And this issue can reach the strongest countries because their entire economy collapses due to the end of the era of e-commerce, especially when they know that a country like America, it depends on the digital economy by 33% of its GDP. We are entering something on which the entire global financial system depends, which is banks. Do you remember the beginning of the crisis between Ukraine and Russia? The West was threatening Russia with something. If any of you are following the events, you must have heard this phrase. The SWIFT system is simply a global system for bank transfers between countries and each other. And the West was threatening Russia that it would liberate it from using this system, thus depriving it of buying and selling. Imagine that this SWIFT system is closed to the entire world, not just Russia, but there is no doubt that there will be a complete collapse of the global economy. It is enough for you to know that if the internet were cut off from the world for one day, a country like America would lose about $11 billion. But with this, we have finished with what has reached here. All that has reached you is the best of people. Leave us a like before you leave so that we can know the number of people who have reached the end, and let's not forget if there is. A question comes to you in the middle of the night tonight. Write to us the judgments in the comments below the video so that we can respond to it. Peace be upon you.